Well, happy Wednesday to everybody out there, or whatever day you're watching this Devo. Hope you're having a good week, man. The weather continues to be fantastic, right? Just an amazing, really, month of September. Just good to be outside in God's creation. If you were with us on Sunday, you heard the second or third, I guess, installment of our series in regards to the church. And Pastor Rick took us through a pretty famous or popular or well-known passage out of Acts 2 as the church is being born, so to speak, as it's growing and as God is doing what he's doing through it. And so he took us through that passage from Acts 2:42 to 47, but this idea of after Pentecost, as Peter, filled by the Holy Spirit that Jesus said would happen, that the Spirit would come, the Counselor would come, and that's just what happened. And on that big day of Pentecost, 3,000 people signed on, so to speak, to a new faith in this Messiah, this Old Testament Jewish Messiah that was promised about and that was fulfilled in Jesus. And these folks, hearing Peter's words in their own language in a miraculous way on Pentecost, grew into the beginning of the church. And I just want to walk through that passage then this morning on Acts 2. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread, and to prayer. Everyone was filled with awe at the many wonders and signs performed by the apostles. All the believers were together and had everything in common. They sold property and possessions to give to anyone who had need. Every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. And the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. Again, if you've been around church, probably a passage you've heard. Many churches have tried to figure out what that means to us, for us. And I thought Pastor Rick did a great job of describing the difference between a prescriptive passage and a descriptive passage. So there's some components of both in that passage, but I think a lot of Christians over the years have heard that talk and thought, well, that's what we need to do. We need to be a church, a group of people that meets together every day, that eats their meals together, that just gathers often, that shares everything with those in need. And so that's supposed to be what the church is like, people so often have wondered. And he talked about how that would be difficult in some ways, the concept of that in our modern life, right? To meet together every day. Well, how would that work when we all had jobs? Remember, these folks had left their homes, many of them came to Jerusalem for this festival. They were on vacation, so to speak, and they stayed then for a while. And that's some of the reason, at least, that they were meeting like they were meeting. They had this newfound faith, this newfound desire. Well, for us, we have to, again, go to work every day, right? We have things going on in our life. Now, there are pieces of this, the prescriptive part of what we're talking about, not the descriptive part of everything that was happening, but the prescriptive part of this, as Pastor Rick shared, is the unity that we should have as believers. Now, that may not mean getting together every night for dinner with our Christian brothers and sisters, but it might mean getting together in a growth group. It might mean getting together for dinner from time to time. It certainly means that we have a lot in common because of our shared Christian faith. In fact, I've heard it said a time or two, something for you to think about is this: we have more in common with our Christian brothers and sisters all over the world who live in very different cultures and contexts than we do. We have more in common with a Christian brother and sister than we do with an unbelieving neighbor, our next door neighbor, if they're an unbeliever. And what I mean is this: the unity that we have through the work of the Holy Spirit working through us as believers helps us to be convicted to share with those in need, like the original church family was doing, that they shared with whoever had a need, that they loved one another in ways that were noticeable. We should be doing that in our lives, that they had a concern over the lives of each other, of the details of each other's lives. We should do that. And they had a joy with them. He noted how they had met together with sincere and joyful hearts. And so we should take those things and live them out in our life. You see, when believers live like that, when we have unity like that around those types of things, well, our Christianity, our faith is contagious. And that's what was happening in the days after Pentecost, as the 3,000 had more and more people coming every single day. People added to that faith because of the work of God. They were there to glorify God, but what they saw in God's followers was contagious. And so the unity that they offered mattered then, and the unity that we offer now as believers should matter to those who are watching from the outside. I hope that we can live this out, that Faith Church can live this out in a modern day version for us, that there are people who are coming, and they are coming, by the way. There's lots of new folks in this group of people these last few months, and we hope that we can continue to grow and add to our numbers because God is working here, and I'm glad that you're a part of that. Have a great week. We'll see you soon.